Okay, anime fans. Have you learned anything from your time skip? I don't think so. That's why I'm making this video. What have you been doing when you've been slacking off? I am very ashamed of all of you. But for now, face to the whiteboard. This story is actually legitimately based off of expression, an actual really good quote from me and Sabo. It was a quote from me and Sabo's battle. And I've been trying to tell nerds this. You are overlooking this rhyme. Literally, I told this story before. I warned these nerds because they were stalking me. I told them to their droid that I was gonna make this video. But I could never be as elaborate as I can in this video. I could never actually put it in a way that you can get the lesson. Because I'm gonna put it like this. Sabo said this one line that was out of this world, and you won't actually know until I put it in one whole piece so you can really process it. I always say it their way as dragged on to the point you get lost, but you won't get lost through this video because of not how I structure it, but literally the meaning behind it. I left it out because I left specific elements that you don't feel in order for you to keep you wondering. I may have said the truth by saying it in a way to you didn't character overriding. Kind of like literally similar to when a cop like literally gives a presentation about your rights and you don't give a fuck about the cop. That's how I delivered it in order for you to ignore it. That's the whole thing about delivery. Like that's the, you know, the gift of delivery. But you know, just like that's specifically what happens, and cringe is really good with like literally understanding, processing, and understanding like literally there's little that you can do about a situation. It helps you be really quick on your feet when you accept certain aspects of a situation, but also look at other aspects. Like my version of cringe is like watching Dragon Ball Super every week when they repeat still frames, because I actually know how to do animation myself because I took a class for it. When they repeat still frames that they show in the opening and stuff like that, and I'm still able to watch it because there's still Jiren. There's still, some godly transformations. There's still like literally some haymakers here and there, so there's definitely enough to keep me watching. But when they pull shit like, oh, this fucking 20 episodes of training when we already wasted a whole bunch of episodes repeating 2 arcs, and literally, that is what you call cringe. But when something is a guarantee in between, it lets you deal with it just enough to get past. And that's a really good mentality for life if there's something like Dragon Ball Z involved. If you're doing that with no reward like that involved, it's an oxymoron. It's like life. Like, hey buddy, you can obviously say that Dragon Ball Z has no character development, no story development, it all revolves around a monkey, where it just came out with this whole thing called the Tournament of Power, which involved other universes, which is the biggest, literally, example of world building. No other anime universe is as diverse as Akira Toriyama's. And you can say that One Piece is this and that all you want. We just proven right then and there, but we didn't present it that way, huh? We got it all. We may have built it, but we gave you something really big to think about, huh? Literally, that's a grown man's perspective versus a little kid. Oh, we're just gonna read this little dude's article just to get by. Like, no, I'm gonna watch this episode. I'm gonna continue going with my shitty fucking job. And then I've got me up for my friend at the bar that I haven't seen in a while. And guess what we're gonna talk about? Out of nowhere, we're gonna talk about sports. Like, literally, just that we're gonna talk about how shitty our life is, but literally how like literally certain aspects keep us content. And then out of nowhere, we're gonna talk about Dragon Ball Super where we're drinking the beer. Sorry. Because we understand that we have cringe, we understand that we have to deal with cringe, but we also understand that that can't be nothing else, okay? You can really pinpoint a whole lot of time, because when I battled Sabo, I was a played out anime fan. I was obsessed with fairy tales, listening, I was watching a whole lot more anime subbed, that I do nowadays, stuff like that. So like literally what I do is just I was a really bigger nerd back then. I was a virgin when I faced Sabo and stuff like that. He had this one bar, and I'm trying to teach everybody. I'm gonna break this bar to you, and it symbolizes the difference between our relationship. Literally, he had our bar saying that literally, I can honestly say you get no pussy, meow. Me literally being a tryhard in high school, me getting rejected by girls 24/7, but me always having life like this senior year where I was hanging out with cheerleaders in the 4th period, and those cheerleaders were a part of a gang. And so this girl was twerking, literally trying to get my attention, trying to say, oh, you have nice eyes, bullshit, this and that. Literally already know that I know that she has a boyfriend. I'm cool with everybody, but I can't get a girlfriend. And literally, this was at the time I was in high school. Now I'm a heavy fucking weeb, a hikikomori, story. Literally, well, I'm accepting anime, like literally, well, I'm listening to Japanese song after Japanese song, like ignoring the fact that I don't have a girlfriend over and over and over again, like literally, just literally, and I'm abusing the AMVs, I'm making them have hella fucking color, and then I'm not even having it spontaneous anymore. My friends like, what happened to drop to a clap? They actually look like they were performing. They actually look like they were having fun in the AMVs. Well, I had time where I'm depressed and shit, literally, and I start adding color. You can't even see their faces. Like literally, this guy's skin was black, and you put all this color to a point where I don't know what race he was anymore. So just doing all this shit, trying to make anime something that it's not at the time, and then literally cheerleaders are fucking quirky and funny. That all means that they're hiding something from me. Like literally, oh, there's obviously something you there, and the lesson behind that is he had a bar that says you obviously get no pussy, meow, and then later on I put a girl named Cat. Isn't that funny? That is the lesson behind this story, literally. You have to understand, that girl twerking in front of me, obviously she knew she was wrong, there was something there, and the lesson behind that is what you see is what you get. Like literally, so what he said right there, so I'm gonna tell you the story behind that girl. That girl's name was Julie. She was the hottest one out of the cheerleaders, and Mr. Pledger already told me, don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Mr. Pledger already told me first thing, he's like, they're playing you, Harris, you already know. But he also knew that I was getting stronger because I was stepping up my game. But he already knows my game's work, so Mr. Pledger was trying to tell me, don't even think of hanging out with those cheerleaders at fourth period. And like literally, so Mr. Pledger kept on scolding me and scolding me. Literally, it got to one time I had a disagreement, literally, when I tried to walk in, I tried to flirt with them again. Literally, I tried to skip class and hang out with the cheerleaders again, and Mr. Pledger was right there like, And literally, and then he walks, he's like, do I have to start walking here to classes? I throw my hat down out of nowhere, like, fuck you, and this and that, literally, this and that, like, literally, and then I give him the middle finger, and then literally, it's like, literally, he's like, oh yeah, we'll do this, and that, and I know I caught him off guard because I know I improved, but he's like, you don't know that you're dealing with a gang, it doesn't matter how much you improve, and then I caught him off guard, I didn't take in consideration that you improved right there and there. That same girl, like, they were asking me to dance and shit like that. They were asking me to irritate them and literally, and they kept on giving me hope. This girl had a guy who I was cool with, a guy that made beats, a guy who was cool, a guy who wore Jordans, like literally had Zoom research and shit. Literally, he stayed quiet and shit, but literally, he knew what she was trying to do. By playing cool with him, wherever I saw him, I shook his hand and I told her, no, and I tried playing hard to get, but that's not gonna work. Obviously, I wouldn't be there, and that's what you get for being a special. That's the special advice that literally, if you truly want to get her, you would act cool the entire time and let her chase her around campus. But that's after pretending to be something you're not. You can't just literally have no fucking wardrobe, have no swagger, have no reverse psychology, expect her to follow you and shit. Literally, what they did was they put a reed capsule, pretend that they were tired right in front of my face, literally, and they're like, this is what you have to do if you actually want results. And I'm like, no, I'm not willing to do something illegal. So he kept on trying to tip me, trying to get me. So she started twerking in front of me, knowing that she has a boyfriend, knowing that I know it's a trap and not taking the bait, but I'm just absorbing the visuals. He's like, okay, so he's taking what he can get. I have to make it more desperate. So it got down to a point where her ass was fat and her ass was perfectly round. And if you actually think about it, me and her look like a perfect couple, and she's being really, really difficult, making me go through obstacles in order for me to gain street cred so I can actually fuck her. Then she ends up going right in front of my house, and my family's going through pain. I'm basically complaining about pussy every single day, and she's going right there outside my house, walking outside the house where her fucking sweatshirt, where her butt hanging out, literally, walking right in front of my house, like I can't do shit, literally, over and over again, like literally, so literally, I fucking, literally, and so literally, so the guy's name was Mandy, so when I actually do try to get her, I'm like, literally, I wrote you a song, literally, because I'm playing hard to get the whole fucking time, and she's like, literally, I have a boyfriend, why are you writing me songs? And so literally, Mandy comes out of nowhere, so I text him, and so the other guy who I was hanging out with, he's like, you played it cool the entire time, and so when you finally tried it, literally, and this he comes with the excuse, oh, well, your number is never saved into my phone, and this and that, like literally, like, you see all that shit going on, you like crazy as fuck, like literally, and so literally, it's like, Maddie says don't trip, and Maddie knew the whole time, and like literally, so that's what I'm saying, but get what I'm saying, that all comes back to the Sabo shit, like literally, when he said that, when he said you get no pussy meow, all I thought about was Julie quirky and stuff like that, and how I don't get no pussy, but I'm really handsome, and how I still have kind of like a lot of learned life. That's what I all thought about in that one fucking line, and you know what that tells you? Yeah, you don't get pussy now, but it's not too far away, and that's the meaning behind that meow line, and that is the lesson I'm giving to you nerds, and that's why me and Julie got with each other later. You know, when reputation doesn't exist, you get what I'm saying? And that was a whole misconception, and Sabo took that shit way too far. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, and a whole bunch of people expanding at that one point. Like, literally, it was crazy as fuck, and there's also multiple statements that support that, literally. First of all, he's talking about himself when he said that shit. Second of all, he still made on Facebook because he's a noble nerd. He knows how to hack. He saw my Facebook. He knows I'm handsome, so he knows I'm double reverse psychology when he hits me with that shit. And to be honest, man, like literally, the whole reason why you have to absorb that is because look what ended up happening. I ended up going to conventions and stuff like that. Do you want me to literally go to the downside of why he still had a place in society? Is because he went all out and being a nerd. And that's why he was able to say that he stooped to a low blow in order to get results. Literally, that was a super low blow. What he did was literally, he went inside. He became more your family for a second. Used that same strategy as an advantage and shit like that. And I'm trying to let you know that literally, he snuck attack that shit, but at the same time, you gotta understand, that's where he gets for going out. I took it casually. I wasn't expecting to get girls at the time, and so that's why when he said it, it held great, because I came at him hella fucking hard, and he came at me where personal, like, I really don't get pussy and stuff like that, but literally, but he did in a fucking animation rap league, where it's okay, and it's not the regular to get pussy. You're a black man society that watches anime. Literally, that's a stereotype, and literally, that is literally what Nas can do in the rap battle. Literally, I want you to understand that literally, he did that gained a really good like public reaction, but you gotta understand that came from the origin of going all out and not accepting something when I automatically accepted it when he said it. You get what I'm saying? And then it went down to a point where even when I did get pussy, it didn't matter because I didn't have something solid to hold on to. I didn't know how games work. I didn't know how tribes work. But little do you know, that's going to put you in the same strategy. And a whole bunch of people in junior high tried the same thing that Sabo did. Gaslighting, hiding information, not giving me credit where credit is due. And they ended up having to do that shit where it's required to understand what's required to pass the test. Understanding, literally, giving credit where credit is due is the same thing as understanding the material so you can pass the test. Literally, because if you skip it, you pretend like some information is the shit what happens when you need that information for a question on a test. And then literally you start hanging out with Cat, and then everything unraveled. Like literally fucking how he rapped and Cat canceled California. You don't think Cat has cooked the E40 before? And Sabo thought literally getting high with Cat over and over and over again. Oh, once I show about that, it's all over. She's gonna be mine. And she actually listens to the same music that I do, so she thought my flow was tight as shit. So you gotta understand, he got a big fucking wake up call, this and that. And that's what happens when you say you get no pussy. Yeah, when you're in the dollar something, when you flip your insecurity on somebody, even though it was funny at the time, that nigga made that shit 100% literal. And what anime fans have to recognize is you can never attack somebody at that angle ever in life. And saying somebody who's handsome and saying that handsome guy gets no pussy is the simple thing. It's like if you keep on putting emphasis on that, he's gonna get way more pussy. And they put me in a position where even pussy didn't matter because I needed resources. So what happened is my pussy became resources. My woman became resources because they weren't let me get like a man. You get what I'm saying? Like really. And then they pulled that whole macho thing, really man up to a challenge, rise to the occasion. I'm like, bruh, this is why you're so fucking corrupted. This is why you're so sick in the fucking head. And you have to be down to earth to come to that shit. You have to come to the conclusion that that moment cannot expand ever in life. It may expand, but not in your head. And even if you ever get away from it for a couple of years, you have to understanding that that is being a desperate. You only gotta get desperate shit. And desperate people end up literally people who could have had really good paying celebrity jobs are forced to live in a shitty fucking apartment because literally they got put in a situation where they had to choose two paths. And instead of choosing one or the other, they stay still. That's what happens with literally fucking you hold on to a lie for so long and you're forced to admit it. It's either you go do one or the other. It's either you're gonna be evil all the way, you're gonna be good all the way, or you're gonna stay still. If you stay still, you're fucked. Sorry. I want you to take into consideration that this is very important, that I couldn't pull Julie back in high school because nerds were coming at me like this. Well, with that amount of information, Moodtrix, don't you think back in the day if you just were like really dressed nicer and stuff like that, then you actually would got results and stuff like that, but now you know it's corrupt. Now you know that that's a twisted way of thinking. Now you know that that's a really judgmental way of thinking. Now you can't come at me with that angle anymore because of all the information I stated. You get what I'm saying? It's like, so you saying that it was there the whole time. That's like, you can come up with literally, so if you're saying that you had pussy the entire time. No, it was right around the corner. But something told me I shouldn't be a hoodlum on the corner to get it. I should literally be on the streets of the corner to get it. When you rely on whole shit your entire life, you become a hoe yourself. That's what happened to me. I had the chance to do whole shit on top of whole shit on top of whole shit over and over and over again, and then I realized, yo, I'm defeating the whole purpose of why I gained brains. I'm sorry, I learned how to do reason over and over again. That battle taught me a whole lot, and then it got time down to a point where I learned that some girls' personalities aren't so extravagant like guys. And I want girls like be elaborate just like the arrow. And then what happened is they really realized that it was a catch-22. Oh, Greece is getting girls a lot easier than it is to win battles. So literally, they took that and they started like abusing that. You want fun intellectual conversations about science? You come over to the ARL Discord chat. Literally, you have to meet us halfway. You have to let us call you low tier. You can't roll back to your hood heroes too. You have to play us our own game. You can't go second gear. In other words, you have to be literally, you're forced to fight them at their level. You have a Super Saiyan 3 transformation that you can't use. It's called the hood. I ended up living on the hood for like literally a couple of years, literally, and then literally what happened was this, I ended up living in the hood, so I ended up learning how to talk like a hood nigga, but then I realized that it was cheating me because what a hood nigga knows, what other people don't, is that we're all fucking human. They're distracted by bullshit things like Jordans because they're shiny, like literally fucking air appeals to them, or literally it's a bright light, like literally to them, and literally it stands out more because of their material, and plus literally, you learn about that shit other rounds. It's like, it's about our animal instincts. We can tell that those Jordans cost $100. You know what the female lions want? The female lions like a guy with resources. They want a lion who's already in charge, who already has his own business, already has his own shit going on. So if you think you're gonna get away with rocking Burlington fucking shoes, or the other person has the Jordans, and Jordans guarantee resources, and so they look at that like, yo, he already has a house. You may look good, you may have this and that, but he already has a house. That's what happens when you're a kid in special ed. You can compete against a Jordan. You can't. Sorry. Even though that's a retarded concept, that's our animal instinct talking. Sorry. They can feel that it's more resourceful and stuff like that, but that's also why they're corrupt. So what I did was I met them a little bit halfway. I started going to mall, started buying brand stuff, but not ever getting Jordans. Like, I'll make sure my shoes come for a thrift shop, but nothing else. Like literally, I have a brand shirt, literally, wear a brand hat with literally some khaki jeans, and then I'll fucking, you know, you would throw on some unique Burlington shoes, not like literally some K-Swiss, it's this and that. So literally, that's how I learned how to fucking Mac. But I literally learned that it was fucking wasn't reasonable to do this and that. It wasn't reasonable for me to keep on listening to constructive criticism and fucking saying this and that. And then they abused it. They're like, you wanna literally talk about science and be elaborate just like us, and you know those bitches are dumb? Literally, drop your whole hood niggas swag. And so what happened was, because they put me under that predicament, I played their own game better than them. Alright, so you want me to play a game of being fair when you cheated the entire time? Okay, alright, I'll play your game. I won't mention bitches at all. You're gonna get even more mad at me. You're gonna start literally mentioning my bitches in the call because you trained me before I even got bitches to talk like this. Don't you remember? Do you want sit over here making difference, Lily, come around here, Lily, saying that, yo, because you learned that you got bitches, it's no point. Okay, so Lily, I agree with them, Lily. The girls weren't really elaborate and stuff like that. So Lily, they stopped me from encouraging me to get them. So I tried getting them, Lily, the book smart way. I started listening to anime community videos. I'm like, you know what? You want me to go that route? I'm gonna listen to the best of the best. I'm gonna listen to Geekdom. I'm gonna listen to Swag Kai. I'm gonna listen to Joyboard Theory, and I'm gonna learn how to be intricate like your so-called anime community. And once I learn how to never be a fucking hoodlum, and you gotta rely on being a hoodlum shit. Oh, I already made it here. You can't mess up my fucking donut shop. This all ties into the no pussy meow stuff like that, because what you did is you made that shit literal and made it equivalent to if I was getting no pussy, because when I got pussy it didn't matter because I couldn't hang out with them. So guess what happened? I found an alternative. What they did was they abused the fact that they were a little bit smarter than girls at the time, but guess what happened? I had them hang around me. They started literally living my lifestyle. They started playing my own games, and they started to become twice as smart as you. So guess what? Literally, fucking the same thing that you used to bribe me with, they have now. So the same thing you get out of you, I can get out of a girl now, because I trained them in order to not fucking fit the stereotype, in order to be unique and stuff like that. I gave them something that was actually meaningful, and you give you and all your friends bullshit and shit, and this all ties back to the school jocks. They're always gotta play this shit. Like, when you gotta get a car, man, when you gotta be a real man, that's when Shia LaBeouf kids, and like, yeah, man, when you come over at your house, literally have the same Kool-Aid packets that my aunt makes. It's a very powerful lesson, because you try to belittle something that he's very close to. So what happens when he actually achieves it? Yeah, exactly what happened was, Lily. So what happened is, it's either get abused by ARL or like Lily, deal with my girls. It's just my girls give me play, my girls give me stuff like that, but they didn't give me everything else. They took it for what I was, and I ended up loving it. I'm like, you know what? They might not use big words like their ARL. They may not really be able to really be so intricate and obsessed with science just like me, but at least they're nice to me. And that, on top of pussy, is what will forever make me value like women, and how understanding they can be over guys sometimes. It's because women are more understanding than guys is the reason why all that shit happened. Like, really freaking And the whole thing about what that pussy Meow is that Sabo is kind of handsome himself and some of that. Sabo works out like someone himself because you have to work out a little bit in order to do the flows he said in that battle. So literally, I'm just judging based off, you know, personality and stuff like that. Like literally, freaking, and that really shows where Sabo stands. That shows that Sabo could get a girl if he wanted, but if he keeps holding on to that line and keep on relying on low blows like that and keep on literally letting a nerd be an excuse for why he's not adapting to the world, not on a professional level, but on a real life basis. Like, yeah, Sabo has the mindset to keep a job, but he won't literally be able to provide himself with good people when he comes home because he's a fucking troll. Like literally, he treats people like shit, and like literally he expects people to be nice to him in the end because he's all obsessed with control, like literally never being vulnerable and shit like that. And that literally, me being flexible and vulnerable, like me and him are the exact opposite. Like literally crazy. He's a trained fighter that literally abuses black belt privileges, and I'm a brown belt that literally has multiple, you know, black belt tendencies and shit. Like literally. So like literally, he has a little bit of an edge and he can't keep his pride intact. That's the difference between me and Sabo. Like literally. So if he wants to pull his whole make-believe game, he's not gonna be able to be so calm, cool, and collect while I start hitting him with the facts. Literally. So take it this way. I can honestly say you get no pussy. Meow. That's appropriate because we're going through the same thing. We're both not getting played. We're both not getting girls at the time. So like really, that's something. What happens if you take that aspect and you know you're just like me and you slander it and you make it the bane of our existence? You get what I'm saying? Like Lily, and you try like Lily add on to it like me. It's because I'm going all out is why you got nerds. It's why you got girls the hoodlum way. Like Lily, instead of actually getting girls the society way. And so me not being able to get a girl at all, I'm gonna be a nerd. I'm gonna put this stereotype on this stereotype. Oh, all your girls are sluts. Oh, all your girls don't have eyes. And then later, you know, fucking then they ended up having more of a personality to you because they weren't fucking, you know, submissive and they were flexible just like me and they were understanding just like me and they didn't rely on cheating. And you know, the best ways to find solution. Like I'm gonna give you, you might think it's unrelated, but you know, do you remember Ghidorah and Ultimate Ninja Storm 2? Literally, he was a person that kept on throwing these projectiles over and over and over again. And so if you stayed and you try to run towards him, like one bird would come after another. But one thing I realized is that it all comes in a straight line. Like here, literally, it's the thing when you can reverse. What would happen is you would reverse one bird, but then another one would come. He will keep on sending bird after bird. So when you try to run towards him, literally by the time you get to him, he already hit you with his third bird. Like literally, he hit you once and then you reverse, you dodged the second bird, but you got hit by his third bird because you kept on doing it straight. Like you ducked the second bird, or then his third bird hit you because he kept on throwing birds over again in a straight. Where I realized when you learn to not really cheat, you learn how to figure out ways around you. Like when you're trapped in a situation like that, where he keeps on hitting you with punch after punch after punch, but it's coming in straight, you're gonna have to be forced to move to the side. And once I was moved to the side, I learned, okay, well, if I move to the side and jump, literally, I can evade and then I can rush him, literally. So what happens is, literally, I move to the side and then you can dash toward him in the game. So like, he used to have this thing where he spammed the same thing over and over again, but it was a straight line. So I moved to the side, I jumped and I dashed toward him in the air, and I was able to pull him off with him. I'm like, okay, I'm close to him now. So like, literally, he only has a certain time to pull his birds out. So now that I'm close to him, I'm not gonna let him pull his birds out. When he's trying to pull him out, I'm gonna rush him again where he's already on the ground and stuff like this. But I learned how to do all that, all because I didn't cheat. You get what I'm saying?